It's the Lily factor. Ding! I was gonna draw with highlighters today, but who knew wax-based materials could crystallize, right? Well, I was quite frustrated with that. So instead of drawing something with highlighters, I decided to just draw out a character expressing my rage, but the first character did not have that rage expression. I wanted to look kind of confused, and then I proceeded to using a blue highlighter to draw my other rage version, which I think was a little more accurate to my rage, of course, and still with a exaggerated cartoony look, but I really was having a hard time figuring out what to draw. Okay, I said it. Okay, I was having a hard time figuring out what to draw, and it wasn't going my way, hence the rage characters, so I just got upset, so I started looking through my camera roll, and I found this picture of the School of Friendship, and I was like, oh, well, I love that little scenery and all the details to the building and everything. So I was like, oh, I totally need to draw that digitally, like I was thinking about doing, but I ended up doing it traditionally, and this is a point where I was like, yeah, I'm not drawing this traditionally. I didn't like it, so I was gonna kind of try and salvage it with my pencil, but I got frustrated and bored in the process, so I just stopped, and I decided to draw out, well, it started as I was gonna draw this balcony with these rails, and it just looked like a really weird horseshoe. So then I was like, what to draw? I decided to draw a character. My go-to, but I was so frustrated. I was gonna draw this character with this really dumb facial expression. But then after a while I was looking at the School of Friendship drawing again, and I was like, oh, well, I don't know, it might be fun. So I ended up just kind of playing around with it again. I had brought that reference back out, and it was still looking a little iffy, but I really couldn't get anything decent out to draw, so I was like, it's either this or nothing. The entire process was definitely a whirlwind of drama. No doubt about that, but in the end I didn't have to transition to anything else, and I did stick with drawing the School of Friendship, and I was pretty happy I did. I definitely want to draw this digitally, just because if you look at the actual picture of the School of Friendship, it's hard to see all the details on it, just because they have, of course, the centerpieces that are meant to stand out more on the building than just the little pieces of the building behind it. But also there's no shading or lighting added to it, so it's just flat colors. So it's really hard to see all the details they put onto the building. It was almost I was like, oh wow, they added this, and oh, they added this. It was just finding little surprises of all these details they added, and there's so many points in the drawing where you look at it and you go, oh, that's probably the end of that. There's no more building left for her to draw, but that's not really the case. It just kept adding on, and if I had a bigger paper, I could have still added more. It's a large school. I would want to go there just to admire the the exterior and interior. The interior is also pretty good, but there's not one specific place on the inside of the building to look at, because you can see it's pretty large on the outside. Anyway, I'm rambling on about that. But yeah, it was definitely an awesome design, and I would want to put it into digital art just to add that shading and lighting to really make it look more rendered, just to see okay, how much more can this building stand out from the rest. But this design was definitely an upgrade in the series. They've most certainly had a lot of incredibly unique and detailed buildings and settings in the series, but this one to me was almost an extension of that, where it was adding 5 of some of their best buildings and settings and merging them together. It was the upgrade, really. And I really liked that. And I think it was following up from after the movie where they actually did upgrade some of the backgrounds and settings and then translated it onto the series. So they had to have a new setting that could hold that new design. And it's definitely one of my favorite designs. There was a lot of points where I was looking and my head was tilted. So I was like, oh, well, that line is slanted. At first I blamed it on my sketchbook and I was like, oh, it's just because my sketchbook's crooked, but not entirely the case. Another reason why I prefer drawing buildings and backgrounds digitally, because that way I know for sure if I'm drawing a slanted line or not. I have a really, really bad perception when it comes to if something's tilted or straight. I can't ever define the two. I tried to scribble over my rage drawings just because, like, now I had all this detail going into the building and I didn't really want those there, but it was a little hard, especially for the red one since it was of a darker color. A lot of things I had to go over. There were a few points where I had to move on to other things, and then I'd go back to like a specific part of the building I was working on, and I wouldn't remember where I left off. I'd be like, wait, what details did I need to add on here? Yeah, because there are really, really tiny details on this building that are sometimes barely noticeable. Like, there's a few points where, you know, you look at a bridge or something and it'll have these tiny little hearts on it, and it's like, we're on Earth, and just what? Yeah, a lot of things hit me by surprise, but luckily, the My Little Pony backgrounds typically just have like flat colors of like hills and stuff. And I was able to give it a full-on, not just the building, but there was also like a background behind the building, because I was able to draw that simplistic My Little Pony style hill, or hills and mountains, and get away with it. And I could draw it really light, so, you know, it's there, but it just depends on if you notice it or not. I also added this texture to some of the rooftops because it was really more like these kind of swirls, but to me I just interpreted it like as almost that kind of scale-like texture, but I'm not certain that its name is actually, you know, scales, but it could be. And so I decided to just go, instead of drawing these kind of like swirl things, to actually just draw each individual scale for the rooftop. I was thinking of Spike the entire time. I'm just kidding. Yeah. Oh, and I was trying to avoid like using my pencil on top of the highlighter stuff, but it actually could go over. It just kind of scraped it a bit, but it actually looks kind of cool. So I think I might do something later on with that. Some sort of illustration involving that. And then, oh, I'm done. No, just kidding. I still have one more piece to the building. There's something in the background behind the centerpiece, and that was a little tricky to draw because there were some really, really tiny details, because it was almost like they just colored the entire part of this like piece of the background and then just lowered the opacity to where it was almost transparent because it was barely there. And there are actually a few things next to it that were also barely there that you can see I'm drawing in. There were like these little spike things. One had a moon, one had a star, and then there were 2 others next to it, or next to the moon and star thing. And it could have fooled me that it wasn't there. So yeah, I added my name and then it was complete. Wow, I mean, just wow, the School of Friendship is no easy background to draw. That's one thing I can tell for sure, but thank you everybody for watching. I wish you all the best of luck in life and in art. Bye!